So this is about an alternate way of doing what we've done in the past as far as loading the data. In the first lesson I showed you, I loaded the data by saying choose directory. When we did that in class on Monday, we ran into some issues where we were only getting essentially one slice. So an alternative way of doing this is to say choose file. Now in my download folder, I have that shoulder directory that I downloaded from the University of Iowa. And you notice there's one option or one file out of the total. So like I said, it's about 1,000, right? I guess it's only about 500. Okay, and when I say open, now you have to say show option. And when you do that, you notice that this single file option is selected. If I deselect that, what's going to happen is the software is going to look at this file and recognize it as the start of a sequence, and it will load all the files that sequentially follow it. And what you should see then is in all three views, the axial, sagittal, and coronal. And again, like we talked about, left mouse up and down seems to be adding values. Left mouse left to right seems to be adding contrast. So your goal is to differentiate the right mouse left to right or up and down. We'll pan you in, if you will, get you closer. And your goal is to try to get as best as possible the bone distinguished from the soft tissue. The middle mouse, if you have a wheel on your mouse and you scroll it, it will go through the sections. Otherwise, you can use the slide bar up here. And if you push down on the middle mouse, it's going to pan or move you left to right. It doesn't really matter which shoulder you take, but you want to look for right about there, that level. So I'm at, I'm not sure if this number will change, 1051 I think is the top. Right there, watch that little spot. That's the tip of the scapula. Okay. So I'm gonna know that that's what I want to go through, and you can actually go all the way up and see the scapula, the chromium process start to articulate right here with the clavicle. So you do the same thing below. Just decide if you're doing the left shoulder, you want to do the left. And you can see the, so here you're in the midline. You're not seeing the scapula. As you come laterally, you can start to see the scapula develop. If you go too far, you'll start to see the head of the humerus, right? And then the same thing, obviously, with your coronal section. So right about there, you're starting to see. Yeah, then that next lesson on cropping using the called crop volume will give you lessons on how to create a region of interest and work with this window and choose to isolate just the area that's most relevant to the shoulder for you. And you have to be careful, because if you miss the dot, it changes the contrast, which is not a big deal. You can always go back and change it. But so for example here, now it looks to you like, okay, well, there's no dots here. What you have to do is go back and find There you go. So because I only did the left side, when I'm in this, I'm actually not looking at the right side here. So when I go across the midline, now I'm looking at the left side. So now I can adjust those dots. Okay, and then you continue through that lesson.